We're talking about the sagebrush ecosystem, and basically that is a type of dryland, so semi-arid, not that much rainfall. It relies a lot on snowfall that happens over the winter and like early spring season rain, basically for like plant growth. Within these dryland ecosystems, there's a lot of small mammals that have adapted basically to survive those harsh conditions. So some of those adaptations include, they dig burrows to like stay away from really hot temperatures. Some of them just go out at night instead of during the day, and so bunnies are one example of those that do that. Through all of these adaptations, they have this kind of symbiotic relationship where they provide benefits to the environment. Say by digging burrows, they aerate the soil. By eating, they disperse seeds from the plants that they eat. But they're also really important prey species to a variety of predators that live in that ecosystem. And so some of them include things like coyotes and badgers, which are some of the iconic mammals that you find there, but then also raptors. We started this project in 2021, and basically we had no idea that things were going to be so dire. We were just trying to come up with methods of surveying these two species across a large landscape, partly because it's just better to get a picture of what's happening across a wide area than just like specialized sites that may not be as representative. So that really was like our first goal, is can we develop ways of estimating these species in using techniques that are more low cost and able to be kind of expanded over large areas. Normally for small mammals, if you want to estimate abundance, one of the techniques that we use out in the field is that we place traps and then we trap them. We literally capture them and then we mark them in some way and then release them back. And then we run those trapping days multiple days, and that allows us to get an idea of, depending on how many individuals we recapture, it allows us to get an idea of how many we missed. But another maybe lower cost-effective way of doing it is by not capturing them, but just doing repeat counts.
At each site we have this big square that's marked off with flagging, like this one, and each side of the square is 100 meters. So what we do when we arrive is we slowly walk, transect each side of the square and count all of the squirrels that we see and hear. And then at each corner of the square we'll do a 2-minute point count survey. So we'll stop in silence and do the same, record by sight and sound all of the squirrels that we're seeing and hearing. Making sure not to double count, keeping a mental map of where all the squirrels are, and this gives us a picture of abundance of ground squirrels at the site. We'll do 3 surveys in a row, 3 days in a row per site. Some of the sites have upwards of 20 ground squirrels and some of them have 1 or none. So in future years, the lab is hoping to spread out the surveys, get more sites, more than 41, and spread them out a little bit more geographically as well.
Now for the jackrabbits, they're a lot harder, partly because they're not trappable, meaning they don't like to go into traps very easily. And so if we were going to set up some traps, that just would not give us a representative sample of how many we have. So generally people around the world have relied on these things called spotlight surveys to try and sample them. So basically that means you drive on a road really slowly at night, because that's when they're active, using spotlights, and then you try and count how many you see. So then the way that we modified that technique was by truncating our viewing distance to only 5 meters on either side of the road, and then repeating those surveys again and again and again to get these tallies. And the same way that I said, the relative counts from day to day to day help us get an estimate of how many we're missing. When prey declines, so if these two small mammals, which are the two kind of primary prey for a lot of raptors, if their numbers go down, then you can imagine that competition increases between the raptors and other predators that are trying to find enough of them to eat. It also means that it becomes harder for, say, a parent raptor to bring back successful prey to the nests. And so then that means that it might take them longer, so they have to be away from the nests for longer, or they're bringing in less food, and all that just probably means that not all of the young are surviving. And so you start to see declines in the success of the amount of young that these raptors are producing.